Hi, this is Kathleen Roseland with BoardGameGeek. I'm sitting here with Jerry Hawthorne from Plaid Hat Games. He's here to talk about Tail Feathers.
Hello.
So please tell me about the game.
Okay, well, Tail Feathers is a story-driven miniature skirmish game that takes place in the Mice and Mystics universe.
Gorgeous figures. I mean, you guys have to see these gorgeous miniatures.
And they tilt on their bases, which is a part of the
I did not realize that. That makes me very excited.
They can tilt up or down.
Oh, then they're like
around.
on a ball there,
Yeah.
so they can go any direction.
Yes.
That is so cool. I'm excited.
So basically, you're fighting for survival in the forest, and the bad guys are the rats, and they've teamed up with these bad birds, and they've gained air superiority. So in a military response, your mice have teamed up with the songbirds of the forest to defend their homeland and to fight off the rats.
Like I can tell the bad guys from the little spikes sticking out the bird.
Yeah, they got all kinds of, they got the typical bad look and everything. So one player, it's not a cooperative game like Mice and Mystics. This is actually a head-to-head skirmish game, but it is based in the Mice and Mystics world, and it comes with a story that links into the Mice and Mystics story. So you play through a campaign going from scenario to scenario in this little scenario book, and it has, there it is, and each scenario has a little story that goes along with it, and it gives you a little bit of background, and it actually helps out with the story of the Mice and Mystics world.
So just fleshing out the world and fleshing out the story.
Yes, and expanding the story and progressing the storyline.
Oh, fun.
So it has four scenarios in there that can be linked together and played as a campaign. There's a unique flight system. There's a phase in the game called the tilt phase where all the players are going to tilt their birds. So for instance, if I tilted my bird to the left, then when I activate that bird, I would choose different flight templates. There's 2 different flight templates. If you notice, the shorter the flight template, the wider the turn angle. The longer the flight template, the more narrow the turn angle. So I would say to my opponent, let's say I wanted to fly 3 flight templates, and I would say to my opponent, say long, short, long. And so I would take a long flight template, and I would place it in the little notches right there, and then I would take the short template and place it on that
up the
flight
lines,
line.
yeah.
And then the final template would go right here, because since I'm tilted to the left, all my flight templates have to come in and puzzle fit to the left. And then I would just take my bird and put him on the end.
And line up the line again.
Yes.
The little blue spot there at the back.
Yes. And so if he was tilted to the middle, all my flight templates would go on the straight line.
So depending on where you're tilting, that's the side you're going to be going
Exactly.
towards.
And it kind of tells your opponent which way you're going to be flying with your bird on your turn. It's an I go you game. So I would activate a unit, you would activate a unit, and we would go until we've activated all the units, and then we have an end phase. You also have ground troops in the game that move along the tree branches from space to space. Are they going to be able to see that? Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we zoom out of it, we'll see those.
They can also hop on leaves and travel from tree to tree using the leaves. The way you do this is that you have your figure cut the leaf, and then you roll a die, and then you take the number and you add the number of troops in the leaf. So the heavier the leaf, the further it's going to travel. I rolled a 3 plus 1. I would spin my leaf 4 times. 1, 2.
Oh, this is so cute.
3, and so on. So that's the way the troops can get to another tree.
And if you guys notice this, the turning stick you use is actually a twig. It's not a real twig, but it's a twig.
It's a plastic twig.
It's awesome.
They grow on plastic
painted,
trees.
This would look amazing.
Yeah, and the twig is also used to measure your ranged attacks.
So you know how far people are away from you, and so it's got a multi-purpose, right?
Exactly.
And it's pretty too.
You coordinate your missions using your little player card here. You have a mission box and a reserve box. During the mission phase of the game, you can assign ground troops to go on a ground mission. And then what you do is you just take a number of troops and you place them on the mission box on your thing, and then you pick from one of these six different mission cards, and you secretly place a mission somewhere on the battlefield. It has to be within close range of the middle of the battlefield. Later, when you reveal your mission, it'll show all these different kinds of missions. You can send them on
decoy, intercept, and so
you can
on.
send them on patrols. You can send them to try to infiltrate your opponent's
And when they
tree.
reach these cards, then they're going to be able to execute their mission.
Exactly.
And then your opponent won't necessarily be able to know what your mission is because.
That's right. Now, if your opponent can fly a path over one of your missions, let's say it crosses one of your missions like this right here. If he can fly a path across one of your missions, then he can swoop down and attack the troops that you have assigned to your mission with his bird. And the typical way to win the game is to destroy your opponent's nest and drive his birds from the forest. So
okay. Because you're getting rid of their birds.
Yeah, and we have a little nest dial. Your nest has a little dial that.
And that's the amount of twigs in the nest, or something like that, right?
The amount of twigs that make up the nest, and as you lose twigs, and you'll eventually lose your nest. So the first player to destroy the opponent's nest wins the game. But then there's all sorts of other scenarios that come with the game with different objectives.
Specific objectives, and just like Mice and Mystics.
Exactly.
I also heard a rumor that there was a module that lets you use the Mice and Mystics figures and so on in this game. Is that right?
Oh, well, the game comes with the cards that allow you to use Mice and Mystics figures right in the game. So you can bring all your figures from the Mice and Mystics base set, and you can immediately start playing them in this game. Also, the pilots are swappable, so different pilots paired up with different birds create different effect in the game. And so your pilot and your bird will have this card that comes together. So you place the card together, and then it creates one whole unit, and then you put the ID tag in the little circle that's in the middle.
So how many players does it play up to? Is it just is it dueling games with 2 players?
You can play it with any number of players, but the base game comes with a scenario book, and all the scenarios are geared towards 2 players. So obviously, if you
could do teams or something like that.
Sure, and if you wanted to create your own scenarios, you could make it with multiple players. You could have a free-for-all, or you could do team play as well.
Okay. Well, fantastic. How long does the game typically take to play?
It takes about an hour and 15 minutes to play one game. And then the scenarios that come in the scenario book can all be linked together to play in a campaign, and you can play that in an afternoon.
Fantastic.
And your little character's like an RPG. They level up as you go through the campaign.
Oh wow, that makes it even more exciting. I love that.
Also, when you wound a bird, let's say your bird gets wounded in battle, and you take and you drop a tail feather onto the battlefield, and it becomes an obstacle. So if another bird's flight path touches that feather, then the rider will get the feather stuck on his face, and he'll become rattled momentarily and have a negative effect.
After the game goes on, they'll start having obstacles on the board, these tail feathers.
Yes, as the battle moves, you'll see these puffs of tail feathers out on the battlefield. They become obstacles, but they also go away. During the end phase, if the feather's like this during the end phase, then you would just flip it over. And then if it's like that in the end phase, then those feathers just go away.
All right, so yeah, because the feathers are basically getting worn out, and
yes,
then
they're floating and they're drifting out of the battle area.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to try this. This is Tail Feathers from Plaid Hat Games. Thank you.